It's the Monaco Grand Prix only on ITV. Race 7 of F1 2001. Martin Brundle's finished on the podium behind Michael Schumacher here. Alongside him, fresh from collecting a Special Achievement Award from the Royal Television Society, let's welcome Murray Walker.
Thank you, Jim. It was a great honour and it really warmed my heart. And talking of which, the old ticker's working overtime right now, because just in case everybody out there hadn't already worked it out, this is the big one.
It's so easy around here, Murray, to make one tiny slip. You need total concentration for an hour and 50 minutes in the most extreme circumstances, and one tiny lapse of concentration, you're virtually guaranteed to hit the wall.
78 laps of it. This race is going to last the thick end of 2 hours, and it is hot. It's going to be about 1 hour 50 minute race. The track temperature is 37 degrees. That's some 20 degrees hotter than it was in Austria.
That is the releasing agent that they put in the molds. It takes a little bit of getting off just to, oh no, and Coulthard has stalled.
Oh, this is terrible. David Coulthard has stalled the engine. Everybody else gets away. If they all get clear, he's going to have to start, and Hakkinen comes out from behind him. If this is what happened to Michael Schumacher at the Japanese Grand Prix. And what a terrible psychological downer it is for David Coulthard. Now he's going to have to start from the back of the grid. Cruel bit of luck. But something has happened to McLaren in the last 2 races. It looks as though, I don't know, but it looks as though it's a system problem.
Who knows, Murray, who knows? But of course he had to start from the back in Barcelona and lost his front wing in the first corner. So easy to do here as well. And Coulthard's only hope is that there's an aborted start, that somebody else stalls their engines, and with an aborted start or a red flag on lap 1, then he may have a chance of resuming his original grid position. But right now, the new lap record holder of this circuit is starting at the tail of the field.
Well, teeth gritted, eyes slitted, he's going to have to really get down to it now. In the worst place in the world, as the 3rd light goes on, the 4th light goes on, the 5th, and it is go! Schumacher leads into Saint Devote. Are they all going to get around? And there's Montoya trying to go through on the inside. Fingers crossed. David Coulthard has already passed one tail ender. That will be Tarso Marquez. But Schumacher leads, Hakkinen leads, Barrichello leads, Ralf Schumacher 4th in the Williams as they come through Casino Square, down past the Hotel Metropole, turning into the Mirabeau, now the grand hairpin. That is about a 20-mile-an-hour corner in 1st gear, and thank heavens, but David Coulthard won't be saying this, they have all got away safely. It's a good start at Monaco, and David I was wrong about him passing Tarso Marquez, and he is still last on the track. First on, somebody hit the wall. Somebody hit the wall. Who is it? It looks like a Sauber to me. It is a Sauber.
It's Raikkonen, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's Heidfeld.
Sorry, it's Heidfeld.
Now this is going to be a problem. There's not a crane there. Look there, you see Heidfeld slam into the wall.
I think there was some contact with the arrows and just launched Heidfeld. Montoya's off somewhere.
Yeah, there he is. It's the exit from the swimming pool. So that's the first retirement. Let's see what happens. Montoya runs wide, out steps the back, into the Armco, and that is the first right-hander at the swimming pool. He's parked it in a nice tidy place. There's a crane there. They'll be able to haul the Williams BMW off the track. No points for Montoya.
Yeah.
Stop for Panis, turns into the pit lane. Hopefully we'll have a look and see what it is. I'm amazed that he's come in as early as this. Has he got a problem, or it's
definitely an unscheduled stop, Murray. No way you have a strategy, and a problem with the right rear. Looks like they weren't really expecting him. He has come off the track very quickly. So Panis then, maybe he sensed a puncture, maybe he's nerfed the barrier off. We think it could be a puncture. We're hearing from the F1 ITV pit crew, but let's see if he carries on. Sometimes if you've whacked the barrier, you go back out hoping it's all right. Turns out not to be. But Hakkinen then took 3/4 of a second out of Michael Schumacher last time. What's happened? Hakkinen's had a according to the computer, a very slow mid-sector. And yes, look, he's fallen away a lot, some 6 or 7 seconds.
Oh, hello.
And there's Hakkinen, look, and that was Barrichello. We watched them. So Hakkinen then very, very slow through the middle part of the previous lap.
And Barrichello, of course, up into second place. Now that's going to make it even stronger for Michael Schumacher, even harder for Mika Hakkinen, because with 2 Ferraris in front of him, although Rubens Barrichello will be as intent on winning this race as Michael Schumacher is.
Some kind of fuel problem, Murray, and we think Hakkinen has pulled out of the race. So Hakkinen out of the race, bad day so far for McLaren. Coulthard down the back, Hakkinen out. James, what can you tell us?
Well, I'm down here, a complete surprise, his arrival in the pits. Steve Hallam, his chief engineer, was talking to him on the radio. Obviously something to do with the rear suspension they're looking at, maybe an ignition possibly problem, but they were giving him advice on different things he could try. He's hit the barrier, I think. Yes, they're checking the rear suspension to see if there's any damage. He's having problems steering the car, I believe. They were giving him advice over the radio, and suddenly he arrived, and the engine's still running, so he's still possibly, yes, they're going to get him out of it again. They think he's okay to continue.
But he's saying the car's not handling right, and let me tell you, you always, to the merest, finest degree, you know if the car's not right. So Hakkinen rejoins the track. They had a good old pull around on the suspension. He clearly thinks that in the middle of the racetrack, he's just not getting the balance and grip he needs, and it must be quite dramatic to make an unscheduled stop, Murray.
Well, yeah, not only that, but as you can see, David Coulthard is having a real go at Benoldi, saying to the Brazilian, let me by, and the Brazilian is saying, not on your life, I'm not going to let you by, don't have to let you by. We are fighting for track position, and I'm going to gain it. And now Mika Hakkinen is behind David Coulthard as a result of that long stop and those 2 delays on the previous lap.
Yeah, good. People doing a good job out there. Irvine 4th, Trulli 5th, Villeneuve 6th, Fisichella 7th, and that is De La Rosa.
Yeah, as we talk about both the Jaguars being in the top 10, out goes De La Rosa. Stall the engine, obviously.
Technical fault there, De La Rosa, knowing that's a smart place to park away from the firing line of the cars, just catapulting through that first part of the swimming pool.
And that is Luciano Berti, who has stopped at Sandoval. There is the statue of the Williams Bugatti in the background I was telling you about. Let's see what happened to Luciano Berti. Well, he just stops, turns left. He's obviously got a mechanical problem.
Yeah, and that he had a bizarre accident there, didn't he, on Saturday, when his brakes failed totally. Ended up having to bury it in the tyres so as not to run underneath a breakdown truck a long way down that escape road. So that is not Luciano Berti's favourite corner.
Yeah, that bloke down at Saint-Devote sort of listlessly waving the blue flag. I really don't know why he's doing that of his own initiative. And Coulthard goes for it now.
He's going to have to nerf him off. That's his only chance. David's, you know, we're well, the darker side of me, but I'm afraid we all think the same way. He's got to clear the arrows. The arrows, as demonstrated quite clearly, it will just turn across his nose. He'll have to nerf it as his only chance. I bet he wish he got a slightly longer point on that nose and just give him a little kiss into one of these corners, because he's got to clear past it.
Yeah, and even if he does that, the gap between himself and the next bloke down the line is Fernando Alonso. Incidentally, the European Minardi driver. And there he goes! David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher together, and Schumacher has now lapped David Coulthard in his closing up on Benoldi.
And keeping Villeneuve very much in his sights.
Who's that? That's a Jordan. That's a Jordan. Now, let's have a look at it.
That's Trulli,
out he leaps, and it's Jarno Trulli. Out go the fire extinguishers. Jarno Trulli, and he was the highest Jordan. He was in 7th position, just off the leaderboard. Now, here's a replay.
Yeah, it's an oil fire, so a piston ring or something like that, or an oil line blown off. Probably, I would suspect more likely an oil line or something off under the engine cover there, catching fire on the exhaust pipes. So quite clearly then, Trulli out of the race.
There you see, this is a replay of him running wide at Sandoval. He hits the barrier, first of all with the left, and then the rear, and then the left front.
Yeah, and he does survive that little skirmish because he went in nice and square on into the tyres, and the front end touching was not too bad either, and again quite square. So Fisichella kept the engine running, the anti-stall working nicely for him, and survived for another day in 6th place. And Coulthard then still steering at the back of that Arrows. A lap record again. He's playing around at the front, 18.3 second lead. and just whenever he fancies it, when he's getting bored, he pops in a supersonic lap. So Michael well in control.
Yeah, let's just remind ourselves what he's done this year. Victory in Australia, victory in Malaysia, second place in Brazil. He wasn't in the points, of course, at the San Marino Grand Prix, but then he came back and won the Spanish Grand Prix, second in Australia after having been beautifully beaten by David Coulthard. And David Coulthard, I said earlier on, the only man at the beginning of this race who had scored points in every Grand Prix of 2001 is going to be struggling to maintain that record. As into the pits comes Jos Verstappen in the Arrows from 9th position.
So the first scheduled stop of the afternoon, then I would imagine this one is, Murray, and looks like Arrows are going for a 2-stopper or certainly a very long second stint. Let's have a look and see how long they fuel for, and it's
bit of a discussion going on there. I thought this might be happening, Martin, because he was so much conspicuously faster in the warm-up in comparison with his race place. I mean, he started 19th on the grid and he was 8th in the warm-up, but whatever, there's a problem. Not a problem for Benoldi as far as keeping Coulthard back, because yet again, and this is the 44th lap out of 78, and still David Coulthard, despite his horsepower advantage, despite his superior experience, despite, frankly, his superior ability, can do nothing about Benoldi.
Fisichella then has gone off for a second time in Sandebot and clearly will not be getting away with it this time. Serious amount of toe out on that front left. Look there, Murray, and Fisichella finally outbraking himself into Sandebot, and this time connecting too hard with that barrier. And we're about to see Frentzen have a shunt. He's lost it in the tunnel, hasn't he? Because he has his accident before he gets to the chicane. So
replay coming up. That was a Lacey going through.
He's down the bottom of the hill at Murray, so in the cloud of dust. So still didn't really see quite how and where he hit the barrier first, but I suspect he dropped it in the tunnel.
Well, if a Lacey finishes in the points, it will be enormous encouragement for Prost. They've had a very torrid time since the 4 times world champion took over leadership of what was the Ligier team. This year he's got Ferrari engines after having seasons with the unsuccessful Peugeot engine, which ironically is doing much better with Arrows now in the form of Asia Tech engine. It's been bought by a Japanese consortium from Peugeot. Now 23 laps to go. In comes Michael Schumacher. Barrichello will take the lead, 18 seconds behind him in terms of track position, but then he will have to come in. There you go, there you see Rubens Barrichello in the background as Michael Schumacher goes up to exit the pit lane. Rubens Barrichello goes through to start another lap in the lead now. So Ferrari still leads, Ferrari still second, but the position's reversed. It's Rubino from Sao Paulo, Brazil, leading Michael Schumacher from Kerpen in Germany, still on 16 World Championship points for the Constructors' Contest, massively to extend their lead over McLaren. I love this place, I love Monaco, it suits my kind of driving. And of course he's done extremely well here in the past. 3rd in 1998, 2nd in 99, 4th for Jaguar last year. He's 4th at the moment. He could be 3rd because he's right up behind. He's passed. He's passed. Eddie Irvine is in a podium position for Jaguar. Oh, I know. The whole of Britain will be having their fingers crossed as in comes Ralf Schumacher, clearly with a problem. But is it a terminal problem?
I wonder if he's got some kind of
shaking his head.
One of his, I mean, he's a long ways, 58 left, 59. James, what can you tell us? Do you think it's fuel?
Yeah, as he came past me, it was definitely the engine was cutting out and he was punching the steering wheel as if that would help. I think they call it percussive maintenance. But anyway, the rear tyres came off. They were completely slick, as were the other ones you noticed earlier on, Martin. But definitely some form of engine problem. Could have been lacking fuel, but it sounded a bit more... they're trying to get it started again now. The rear wheels are spinning. It sounds unhealthy, but he may get going. I don't know.
Well, anyway... Ralf Schumacher retires from the Monaco Grand Prix. It is his 5th retirement in 7 races, and Montoya, of course, was long since out, so not a race that Williams will want to remember. And funnily enough, they've only won here twice. Keke Rosberg won 1 year, And Williams have always had a bad time at Monaco by their very high standards. Remember when Nigel Mansell retired, Damon Hill, but now it's Michael Schumacher out on his own not out on his own, behind Rubens Barrichello still, who leads the race. The gap between them 13 seconds, but Michael Schumacher has stopped, Rubens Barrichello has not stopped. Eddie Irvine in a podium position for Jaguar, third, ahead of Villeneuve, Alesi, and now David Coulthard is in the points.
Yeah, Irvine doing a great job. Barrichello doing a tidy job too to extend that lead. Michael now, of course, with more fuel on board at this stage of the race, having made his stop. But I think Rubens can go far enough, fast enough to make a complete pit stop advantage on Michael. So Michael still has the race under control, but Rubens doing a sterling job in this few laps of the race.
Yeah, so when Barrichello comes in, probably about 7 or 8 seconds for him to make his stop. Here he goes. Now, the seconds ticking away. Look at the background, if the producer lets us, as the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher will appear and go through to take the lead. And it was just under 7 seconds. Barrichello goes through, and Michael Schumacher has not yet passed me. Now he does so, and just takes the lead as Barrichello exits the pit lane. The order has been restored to what it was before. Michael Schumacher on lap 61 out of 78 retakes the lead in the Monaco Grand Prix, with Rubens Barrichello in second place, some 40 seconds ahead of Eddie Irvine's Jaguar. It's going to be a formation finish, as you predicted, Martin. Into the swimming pool and out of it for the last time. Schumacher has only now got to go round the Rascasse, which he is at. First gear, 20 miles an hour. Coasted home, Michael, and around the Antonino corner, up comes Rubens Barrichello. Schumacher wins in Monaco. Barrichello is second, right behind his team leader. 16 points for Ferrari, 10 for Michael Schumacher, 6 for Barrichello. What about third place?
Yeah, and that was the photo for all the albums at the end of the year. The show finish there from Ferrari, 1-2 over the line, and Irvine then clearly is comfortably going to take that final podium position. And James Allen was pointing out, as the Stewart team, they've had their first podium here. Now Jaguar, that team morphed into Jaguar, and their first podium then over the line in Monte Carlo. Villeneuve fourth.
Well done, Eddie Irvine. That is a brilliant drive. He's had a lot of criticism this year, and he has phlegmatically struck to his last, and he's paid off. Michael Schumacher has extended his World Championship lead over David Coulthard from 4 points to 12. Rubens Barrichello, of course, is still in third position as a result of that second place that he has had in the race. In fourth place it's still Ralf Schumacher and Heidfeld, and is in fifth place. But Jacques Villeneuve has now moved ahead of the German Heidfeld and his Sauber team to sixth in the Drivers' Championship. So BAR and Jaguar and Prost have got a return and a reward at Monaco after all their efforts.